one is the same times in our lives. We've all been down, pushed too much around, learning to move along. Hi everybody, I'm in my home today. I know I usually do these outdoors. It helps clear my mind. I love being outside. But today the high is, I don't know, I guess around upper 20s. And we've had some snow and some ice. So I just didn't feel like getting dressed and going outside. I'm inside today. And I'm here with my cat, my kitty cat Vulcan. Hi, baby. I've got 3 indoor cats, and I have a dog, and I even have a horse that I boarded a farm about 10 minutes from here. So what I wanted to talk today about was what I've referred to in some of my other videos as my dad's interrogations. And what I mean by those is exactly what they sound like. Like a bad cop in a movie that abuses his power to intimidate and suspect and get him to break down, but doing it unethically. So my dad, that was his way of dealing with us kids when you did something that he was pissed off about, that didn't warrant going straight to a physical punishment. He had to do an interrogation first. So a classic example would be, let's say you got a poor grade on a test, on a report card, maybe you forgot to do a house chore for the second time that week. It didn't matter whether it was something insignificant and minor or something very significant. This was how he liked to deal with things. So basically you would be, he'd have you sit in, like, say you're sitting at the kitchen table, sitting in a chair at the table or in the living room or whatever. And there usually would be other family members probably home, but they weren't in that immediate room. I just don't remember other people being around at that time, not in that room. And he would always he wouldn't sit down in another seat near you and talk to you. He would always stand up, and he would tower over you close, because he wanted to be as intimidating as he possibly could. And I can remember this for most of my childhood, young child, into my mid-teens even. Yeah, as long as I lived under that roof. I moved out when I was 18. So, anyhow, and he would berate you and mentally break your spirit to the point where you'd be crying, which is what he wanted. And then he would always say, if you cry, I'll give you something to cry about. And that's what his goal was. He would always push his intimidation and scare tactics on you to the point where you would start cracking your face. You're going to cry, and eventually you cry, and then he's like, I told you. So in other words, it's your fault that you're getting punished, physical punishment, a spanking, because I warned you that if you cried, this was going to happen. So now it's on you. So you got like this 6'2" man towering over you, that you dare not talk back to, that you have to act very submissive in front of most of the time, and especially during something like this. And on top of it all, look at me when I'm talking to you. You had to look at him. Look at me when I'm talking to you. It's amazing how much I can remember when I recall these in some detail. I can't remember a lot of what he said during the process that would lead up to me crying. You know, something like, you know, I've told you before, if you messed up with your grades, or if you forgot to do this chore, or whatever it was, that you'd get in trouble. And he would usually lay into you, again, close, towering over top of you, looking down at you, putting his finger in your face, close to your face, as he's towering and you're sitting. And as he's berating you, it was always, you know, look at me when I'm talking to you, look at me. So you couldn't even like look down and try to avoid eye contact and still have him, you know, say what he wanted to say, give his long ass speech to you and lecture. This is his way of doing a lecture, you know. This is his way of doing a lecture. And I was just so frightened and absolutely terrified, because I knew it always was going to lead to a belt beating. That this was the preempt to a painful punishment, was the psychological, the mental, which to me was worse than getting hit. It was very scary, and you never knew how long it was going to last. It felt like it lasted, you know, probably an hour, but it might have been all of 5 or 10 minutes. But it was never just a minute. It was pretty, you know, at least 10 minutes or so. And he'd always be berating you. I was just so scared I can't remember the details of what he was saying, because I was shutting down. I just remember as he was making me feel more and more scared, and I was trying to keep my emotions in check, you know, being submissive and making eye contact with him. But at some point, your face starts to break, to go into a cry, but you're fighting back the tears, because he'd always say, as soon as he sees start cracking in your face, is always, don't you make that face, don't you make that face, don't do it, don't. If you cry, don't you cry, I'll give you something to cry about. Don't you do it. And then you'd cry. You know, that's what he wanted. That sadistic son of a bitch, he just would wear you down, and then you'd crack, and then he'd get out the belt. I don't remember if I went up to my room and he spanked me there, if he spanked me wherever room I was in. I just remember getting hit on usually a bare ass, maybe sometimes not, but always on the ass with the belt. All I remember was when he would hit his limit and explode, he would, to this day, the sound of a belt being pulled, whether it's slow or quick, but quickly through the belt loops, that sound of that leather, that kind of sound when somebody quickly pulls their leather belt out from their belt loops. To this day, of my 57 years on this planet, it still makes me feel sick to my stomach. I still get a knee-jerk reaction of tensing up. And I'm talking about when I take my own belt off, if I'm wearing a belt, which is, you know, here or there, depending on what jeans I'm wearing. But even when I'm talking about when I take my own freaking belt off, that sound, I have to take it off slowly, because it triggers me. I start to remember, I have a flashback. And, yeah. So I would rather have gone up, just frickin' hit me already. Let's get this over with, whatever the punishment is, whatever I did wrong or didn't do wrong, or okay, it was wrong, but it doesn't warrant getting my ass chewed out and intimidated and beaten with the belt. I personally don't think anything warrants that. I would definitely have rather gotten the beating and then sent up to my room. Yeah, great. Send me up to my room. I'm frickin' introvert. That's my happy place. Send me the fuck up there, you know. get that over with. No. The interrogations was what was just so scary. And I never knew how long they were going to last, but they always felt like they're going to last forever. I'm sorry, kitty. I just pet my cat and he jumped off the couch. He was in a deep sleep. I'm sorry, baby. When he goes into a deep sleep, if you touch him, he jumps. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. A little comic relief here. Are you all right, baby? He's like, forget you, crazy lady. But, anyhow. But yeah, the interrogations were frequent. Yeah, as I was saying, I tried to be on my best behavior and as perfect as I could be. And, you know, that's why people like us end up neurotic and stressed out and can't deal with a lot of stress in our life because of what we're subjected to countless times for, you know, the first probably 20 years of our life or 15 or whatever. So that's pretty hardcore. That's some hard wiring. You can't rewire it, but you can definitely turn the volume down on it, you know. But yeah, it's the interrogations were just, like I said, I'm trying to remember some of the details of what he'd say during, and that's so sad is too, I just don't even remember hearing some of the things he would say to me while he was towering over me, bullying me, because I start shutting down. Like I said before, there's your fight and flight mode. Mine goes to flight because, you know, I couldn't fight my dad mentally or physically, or especially because I was an introvert, so I didn't even stand up for myself with my peers, other kids. But definitely not with my parents. Well, my mom was a pushover, but my dad. So then the flight mechanism is what's there. And you can't flee. I can't tell you how many times I tried to run away from home. I'd pack some of my stuffed animals and some snacks, and I'd go up the street and hide under these bushes for hours. And I remember thinking, I'll show my parents. They don't love me or care about me. I'm just going to run away. And then they're going to miss me. And they're going to regret everything they've done. And maybe then they'll care about me. I'll show them. And I would be up there for a long time. And it would start getting dark. This is usually during the summer. And when we're out of school. And then I'd go back home eventually, thinking, oh, they must have missed me, and my mom's crying and worried about me, and my dad's going to hug me when I get home, or nah, it was all just a fantasy. It was my escape. Nothing like that happened. You know, we played outdoors a lot back then in the 70s. That's what you did. You played outside all day, you know, when you weren't in school. So, as far as they knew, I was just out playing, doing my usual. So, yeah. Yeah, my stuffed animals were my best friends. I had a lot of them. But, oh, I have, I just got my sleeve, my full tattoo sleeve done. Well, I should say almost finished, a little bit more work, but here's the word empathy. And then I have the word love. And where is it? My horse. And it's just a beautiful piece of work. And I still have some more that needs to get done. I'm going to eventually have it go up my neck. But it was important to me to have this because I grew up with such a lack of it in my family. And something that is near and dear to me. So remember to show compassion, empathy, kindness, love to not just the people that you hold dear in your life, but even to strangers, you know. Just show some compassion. Try not to make quick judgments on people. Mean people suck. I have zero tolerance for mean people. Zero. But outside of that, try and do the right thing. If you've PTSD or any type of mental illness or struggles from childhood traumas of any kind, whether it's one trauma or countless, it's irrelevant. If it fucks you up, messes with you, something that's been a burden your whole life or most of your life, you get what I'm talking about. So just remember to break that cycle. If you catch yourself emulating your parents' behavior, or I should say whoever it was that did you harm, break that cycle. Remember, we were all children once. Try and look at that inner child in other people too. And take care of yourselves. Peace.
We all have pain. Not one is the same times in our lives. We've all been down